Hello, everybody. It's Megan here, the Healing Foods Coach, also known as the Faithful Fibromyalgia Warrior. It is Friday, the 9th of August, wishing you a happy Friday. And look, I'm even wearing a happy t-shirt. I actually just picked it out because I like the color, but it kind of worked for the theme today, which is hoping you are having happy days. Now, sometimes that's easier said than done, and I get that. And sometimes we have to dig down and try to find joy, even through times where we don't feel happy. What do I mean by that? Well, in my experience, happiness comes from happenings. So things occur around us that, make us feel good, make us feel like smiling, make us feel like we want to be kind to other people. We feel happiness based on how our day has gone. Whereas a deep joy comes from trusting in something greater than ourselves, even through those times where we are feeling darkness or challenges, anxiety, perhaps depression, all sorts of negative feelings and emotions. We can still have joy outside of that. So sometimes we need to rely on our joy before we can get ourselves to be in a place where we feel happy. And I wanted to just quickly talk about that because as somebody who has suffered for decades with crippling anxiety and depression, which definitely triggered for me bulimia for over 30 years, it can affect a lot of people, women more so than men typically, but with leading to disordered eating, with low self-esteem, poor self-image or body image. All of those things kind of seem to run together, unfortunately. Now, that does not mean that you are going to have an eating disorder just because you struggle with anxiety or depression. Nor does it mean that your anxiety and depression will cause you to have an eating disorder or disordered eating. However, the two seem to happen fairly often together. It certainly did in my case. And the reason I wanted to just quickly touch on that is because I know it's hard sometimes to remember the positive things in life, to think of all the good things that have happened, all the victories, all of the small, challenges we faced and overcome when we're faced with something bigger that feels like it outweighs and overwhelms anything positive. And it's easy to fall into those moments. And sometimes it's really hard, not even just emotionally, but even just logically, to stop and think, okay, this bad thing has happened. However, it's not the end of my life. It's not the end of the world. I will still get up tomorrow. The sun will still rise. The sun will still set. There will be family and people around me who I care about, who care about me. As much as we might get that intellectually, I know it's extremely difficult to sometimes really believe it. And again, like I've said, I struggled with crippling anxiety, bulimia for over 30 years. I was depressed where I was on antidepressants for a good 8-9 years because of all these feelings. And so I guess what I'm trying to say to you is, if you're in that place and you don't feel like you don't want to feel happy, you don't feel like you can be happy, you just feel like there's too much darkness. I have actually literally been there. I've had to live through it. My only comment would be, please keep going. Please don't just give up. Please, as dark as it is, as hard as it might feel, it will at some point get better. I'm not going to tell you how or when because I don't know. I don't know what your individual situations are. And I'm not trying to wear this shirt to make light of it. Clinical depression, someone who suffers with, say, bipolar condition, so manic depression. It's not enough to just say, oh, just be happy. Because obviously, and I have loved ones who suffer with this, and you know what? They want to be happy. They want to be happy. They want to have a deep joy. They want to be happy. But everything else is kind of getting in the way. And so it's really, really hard. As much as they want to get out of it, they don't see a way forward. And I would just say, please keep going. Please hang on. Please hang on. Now, for me, what really, honestly, what truly transformed my mental health situation was when I went carnivore. Because for me, probably 98 to 99% of the problems I was dealing with were a result of the chronic high levels of inflammation, which were the result of me being on a very high carbohydrate diet that fed my anxieties and my depression. You know, there have been clinical studies done that show that people who suffer with a lot of inflammation in the brain, who suffer with mental health conditions, often, maybe not always, but often have also seem to have been people who are also eating highly refined, highly processed foods and a high carbohydrate diet. Okay. When I cut that stuff out, now it didn't change instantly overnight, and I'm not going to pretend it did. So if you are watching this thinking, great, I'll go cold turkey, I will go straight to carnivore tomorrow and expect that you're going to all of a sudden have no more mental health concerns, you're never going to struggle with depression or anxiety or mania or anything like that, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, once I cleared the glucose and the processed crap that was keeping me chronically inflamed in my brain, keeping those feelings of anxiety and depression constantly cycling through me and causing mood disorders and disruptions. Once I cleared out all that garbage from my diet, everything started to calm down. The brain fog, it was amazing. The brain fog from my fibromyalgia started to lift very quickly, and the emotional challenges I dealt with, the mental health that I struggled with for years, finally started to come down bit by bit. Again, it did not happen overnight. In fact, there was a time where honestly it felt a bit worse, and the main reason for that, by the way, was because I was detoxing from all the sugars and the carbs and the processed garbage. Once that was out of my system, finally, I realized that I wasn't feeling as anxious all the time. I was still dealing with some major anxiety, and I was still dealing with feelings of depression, but it was nowhere near what it once was. To the point where I was able to wean myself off my antidepressants May of 2023, and I've not needed to take them since. Now, I'm going to pause for just a moment, okay, because I want to make it clear that if you are on medication for anxiety, for severe depression, because you're bipolar, maybe you have severe ADHD, and you're taking something for that, please do not stop taking your medication cold turkey. Don't. You need to speak to your medical care provider, because you may have other issues that are going on at the same time where this medication is actually helping you. If you have chemical imbalances in the brain, you know, somebody who perhaps struggles with, say, schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder, dissociative disorders, they may be on certain medications that they should absolutely take because it's helping balance out the chemicals in their brain. Please keep taking your medications. Go ahead and start carnivore, but please do not stop taking your medication, okay? I stayed on my antidepressants for 3 years until I felt like I was at a place mentally where I was willing to try to wean myself off extremely slowly just to see how I would do, with the knowledge that if I needed to start taking the medications again, they would still be there. And as time went by, I realized I needed less and less of it until I finally came off of it fully. Okay, that was just me. And I know there are some people struggling with severe mental health issues where they are taking far more strong doses and far more strong medications than I was on. So again, that's just me. It's got to be a personalized approach. But if you are switching to a carnivore diet, getting the processed, sugary, carby crap out of your system, just see how much better you feel, especially once you get through that transition phase, okay, and you get through the withdrawals, sugar and carb withdrawals. You will feel so much better. Stick with it, okay? Speak to your medical care provider. Perhaps you will be able to wean off of or come off of your medications. That you should have that conversation with them. What I'm saying is I found that overall, I wasn't having these extreme mood swings of really, really, really happy and then super depressed and sad and having no interest in doing anything at all ever in life. Just bleh, couldn't be asked. Those extreme swings, completely gone. I still have moments where I'm like, I feel kind of bleh. I don't know what to do. I'm not sure what I want to get up to today. Do I want to do anything today? Oh, versus, oh my gosh, I could walk for miles and miles and miles. Let me stay busy. Let me stay active. So I still have moments where I'm feeling a bit more up and a bit more down. And I imagine that's a lot of that is to do with where my dopamine levels are at, the kind of energy I feel given the day ahead, whether or not the weather's nice, like it is today, it's sunny and warm, whether it's cooler and miserable and wet, in which case, no matter how much energy I have, I don't feel like walking the dogs for 2 miles. I'd rather be home, cleaning the house, doing laundry, that type of thing. That's just me. But to come back to my initial point is that we can all eventually find a sense of happiness when we remember the happy things that have happened to us. But sometimes the most important thing, especially when we're in a dark moment or we're feeling low, or we may actually struggle with full-blown depression, is trying to take those moments and feel joy and gratitude in spite of our circumstances. And believe me, I get it. It is not easy. Okay. It's not. It is really hard. For me, even now, 4 years on, healthy, no longer in my wheelchair, walking miles every day, enjoying life. I still have moments out of nowhere where I'll be like, I don't know what to do. I'm feeling kind of bleh. And I think as humans, we all have those emotions, and there's nothing wrong or bad about those emotions if we allow ourselves to live in the moment of that emotion, whether it's a positive or a negative, and try to think through all the good things we have that we definitely know we have, that we can write out a list. I'm a big believer in writing out lists. I do it often. It drives my husband mental, but I'm a list writer. Okay. And when I can write down and point out all the good things, all the blessings I have, in spite of feeling kind of bleh, or even having moments of depression, or even having brief moments of anxiety, that helps. And I'm able to very, very quickly get back to a place of I have joy and I have gratitude. That's what fuels my happiness. Instead of waiting for certain circumstances to be perfect, being grateful for what I have already and trying to fuel me for it. Again, I get it if you are not even in that place yet, if you are just really struggling. My heart goes out to you. My encouragement goes out to you, because I lived that for years, for decades even. Okay. I would suggest that one thing that will probably help improve that time or those feelings is cutting out the processed, horrible, junky crap and switching to a carnivore diet, reducing your carbohydrates, getting the inflammation out of your body, out of your brain as much as possible. You will likely still have days where you might feel sad or a bit depressed or kind of down or even some anxiety, but it doesn't have to control you anymore. And I hope that brings hope to some of you. And for those of you who have been through it, who are maybe where I am now or getting there, you know what I'm talking about. I'd love to hear your own stories. Share them, leave your comments. And if this is in any way helpful or encouraging, I'd love to know. Feel free to share this with anybody you think it might benefit, because that's why I'm here. So thank you so much, guys, for your time. I really do hope you have a fantastic Friday, that you're at least enjoying some nice weather. And if not, that you're enjoying yourself a great Friday regardless. And I'll see you in the next video. Back tomorrow with more content. All right, guys. Bye for now.